I had a great question on repurposing content, both how you can reuse it, but also how you can kind of breathe new life into it to keep people interested in it if maybe they've seen it before. So let me give you kind of a little bit of backstory to help you understand the advice that I'm going to share. The first thing is the way that you use content is pretty important. So when I think of content, the way that I use my daily emails, videos like this, it is kind of in that middle segment in my business. The first segment in my business is that attract piece where I'm trying to attract the right people to my business. The second segment is the conversion piece, how I'm trying to move somebody from interested to actually ready to work with me to build their ideal business. And then the third is the deliver the result somebody wants and provide an experience that makes them happy. So for me, the vast majority of the content that I create falls right there in the middle, that conversion process, that helping somebody move from interested to ready. So it depends on, first of all, how you're going to use the content. If you're using it in that way, there are a couple suggestions I have for you. The first is kind of like this. I have taken a number of emails that I've written that are well received, and maybe I repurpose them by recording the same topic or even using the email itself on a teleprompter as a script and recording in a video format. You could even do an audio format of the same thing and do a short podcast, because what I'm trying to do with that sort of content is really get it consumed. Just because we put something out, it doesn't necessarily mean that somebody is actually A, consuming it, and B, giving their attention to it when they do. So, another thing that we do very regularly is take the emails that I write that are well received, we'll post them as blogs, we'll post them in social media, we'll post them through other distribution sites like LinkedIn, something like that, where the idea is to not necessarily attract new people. If that happens, that's great, but that's not my primary objective. My primary objective is to get the people who already know me and have shown a little bit of an interest in what I do and what I offer, to make sure they're seeing this content to move them closer to being ready to work together. So finding other ways to repurpose what's already worked, I mean, just look at the various types of media that you have at your disposal and say, how can I take an email that's been effective, record a video about it, and share it through other channels, be it Facebook Live or YouTube, or even trying to figure out a way to use it on Instagram or any other platform that you prefer. So that's number one. How do you take something that maybe somebody has already seen and used and recycle it again? Well, I'll tell you the first trick to this that I think most people overlook is sometimes you just deploy it as is, right? How many times have you, I know at least in my case it's been a lot, but how many times have you reread a book and it had a totally different meaning to you, or rewatched a movie and you actually connected with it differently than you did the first time? I mean, I know for books that happens to me a lot because I'm at a different place in my journey, right? Maybe I'm more ready for the information. Maybe I've learned other things that allow me to understand this better or be in a better position to use it. So sometimes you just recycle something as is. You don't have to change the headline. You don't have to change the content. You just get it back in front of people, especially if it's, a year old, 2 years old, something like that. People are not going to usually remember something that you put out 18 months ago. And if they do, they're usually going to say, man, I like this. So I'm glad that this was a reminder. I'm glad this was back in front of me again. So that's the second thing. The third thing is just kind of giving it a fresh coat of paint. Maybe you go back through, you edit it. I do that a lot with emails. I'll go back through, see something that I wrote a few years ago, and I'm like, I like the overall message, but I need to update it. I need to edit the language. Maybe I need to change the headline. Hopefully I'm a better writer now, so I can go in and breathe a little bit of new life into it and get a little bit more mileage from it. Or if it's like a Facebook ad, changing the image, changing it from text and a static image to making it a video, just changing the format, or what I call giving it a fresh coat of paint, can really go a long way. So hopefully those tips on both recycling content or repurposing content, because I think they're two different things, are going to help you get more mileage from what you've done. But one last tip to remember: it's not all about creating new. It's not all about having this ever-growing library of stuff. It's about getting people to actually digest and consume what you do have. So a friend of mine, Lewis Howes, talked about his popular podcast, which had millions and millions of downloads. He's like, I spend 1 day a week doing a podcast and 6 days a week promoting a podcast. Keep that in mind whenever you're talking about the content that you create.